Hey y'all, thanks for stopping in. So the Ron DeSantis presidential campaign has officially come to an end, which was basically a flop from the beginning. Started off with him choosing to step into the ring with Donald Trump, who very obviously to many of us was the front runner, considering he's been polling ahead of Biden for much of this last year. But it started with a terrible announcement on X that flopped. The servers went down. Then it got memed by Donald Trump or a Trump supporter who recreated it and added a bunch of funny historical characters. And then as things progressed along, the consensus became that the people DeSantis hired to run his campaign were terrible at the job, or they were actually not trying to do their best to get DeSantis elected. That eventually began to drive a wedge between DeSantis supporters and Trump supporters who, only 4 years ago were on the same team. You know what I mean? Everybody was pretty much pro-Trump, besides some of those people in the middle, a few Democrats that were like, I prefer DeSantis over Trump, so I like DeSantis. But, those people were still going to go ahead and vote for Biden in the presidential election. So pretty much irrelevant in the long run, considering it's about, who's going to be the next president. So just winning the primaries is one thing, which was a terrible attempt. And I'm sad to see, and I'm sad to say it, because I proudly voted for DeSantis twice to be the governor here in Florida. And I think he's done a great job, him along with, and the other elected people that he works with, basically. The things that they're doing here in Florida, I think are pretty good. And it's going to be nice to get him refocused on actually governing Florida. He still has 3 years left on his term, which will be good for Floridians to have him back focused on doing his job as governor rather than spending all of his time in Iowa or wherever he's been the last year, trying to beat Trump, which is something that, like I said, he never should have attempted in the first place. He lost a lot of Trump supporters in the process, and frankly, there's going to be huge doubts if he ever decides to try to run again. We'll just have to wait and see about all that. And to me, in my opinion, I think he blew any chances he had to be Trump's vice president in the process, but that still remains to be seen, as Trump has yet to announce who his running mate is going to be, But this news dropped last night, and of course, it drops during the middle of a Chiefs playoff game that was very intense back and forth between the Bills and the Kansas City Chiefs. They came down to the end of the game, and so it kept me up late watching the Chiefs game. This news drops, and here I am the next morning, talking about it when I should have made this video last night. But, if you can't watch a football game on a Sunday night and rest and take that time for yourself, then why are we living? And so as it came down to the end, the one last thing we needed Ron DeSantis to do that could actually help the Republicans, help Trump be elected, essentially was he needed to stay in the race beyond Nikki Haley. We needed Nikki Haley to drop out and then DeSantis to back out. That way, if God forbid something bad happens to Trump or the Democrats win in the corrupted system here and actually are successful in keeping Trump off the ballot. But no, he couldn't even do that part right. So pretty big disappointment from beginning to end. DeSantis shouldn't have ever started. Once he got started, he should have at least outlasted Nikki Haley, who thinks for some reason she can still beat Trump, but she needs to back out herself. Everybody on the Republican side knows the only Democrats are voting for Nikki Haley. It's out in the open. People are saying that they're going to go vote for Nikki Haley in their Republican primaries. Democrats are going to go vote for Nikki Haley in the Republican primaries simply so they can try to keep Trump off the ballot. Those people are then going to go and vote for Biden on the presidential ticket. They're not even supporting Nikki Haley. It's all just an anti-Trump attempt. But let's get into the story. Ron DeSantis drops out of White House race. Florida governor ends run and endorses Trump in stunning move before the New Hampshire primary. The Florida governor, widely considered the future of the Republican Party and initially the favorite to take down Trump, announced he was suspending the campaign and in a surprise video Sunday afternoon. It followed mounting speculation that donors were fleeing and his campaign was struggling to find a path to make a dent in Trump's huge polling lead. Trump said he's honored by DeSantis' endorsement and called for Republicans to rally behind the former president's 2024 White House bid. DeSantis came second in the Iowa caucuses and largely avoided campaigning in New Hampshire so he could focus on South Carolina, the home state of 2024 candidate Nikki Haley. But the writing was on the wall when the campaign fired half its staff. Big money backers were increasingly frustrated with his war on woke, and top brass were at each other's throats. DeSantis channeled Winston Churchill in his farewell video and called Haley a repackaged form of warmed-up corporatism. Now, the funny thing about that, he didn't actually quote Winston Churchill. Take you over to this other article from the Daily Mail. Ron DeSantis uses fake Winston Churchill quote in final message to voters as he ends disastrous presidential campaign with epic gaffe. So not only did he back out at the wrong time and fell at the end, he also misquoted Winston Churchill. And not only that, the quote he used is actually very close to a Budweiser quote. The Florida governor signed off his campaign with a quote, "Success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts," underneath the video where he announced he was removing himself from the running. Well, he failed at that. He didn't continue to at least beat Nikki Haley. That's not a Winston Churchill quote. The International Churchill Society's website states, "We base this on careful research in the canon of 50 million words by and about Churchill, including all of his books, articles, speeches, and papers." And here's the post from Ron DeSantis, apparently. I don't think we're not going to play it, but there's the interview right there. "We can find no attribution for either one of these, and you will find that they are broadly attributed to Winston Churchill. They're found nowhere in his canon." But back to the first article. His final warning was for Republicans not to go back to yesteryear, and confirmed he would support Trump, the opponent who has mocked and humiliated him for the last year. Well, that's what happens when you step in the ring with a champion. The champion is going to put you down and beat you up and make you regret ever stepping in the ring with him, especially in this situation when that champion helps you get to the position that you are currently. It's kind of messed up where the master versus the student, and the student thinks they can somehow beat the master, right? Disrespectful. "We don't have a clear path to victory," DeSantis said in a video posted to X announcing his departure from the race. "Accordingly, I am today suspending my campaign. Now the Republican primary is down to a two-person race with only former President Trump and his once United Nations ambassador Nikki Haley vying for nomination. I want to say to Ron, he ran a great race," Haley said at a campaign stop in New Hampshire. "He's been a good governor, and we wish him well. Having said that, it's now one fella and one lady left." Despite repeatedly bashing Trump for refusing to debate in the primary cycle and taking several hits from the ex-president calling him Ron DeSanctimonious, the governor decided to endorse his former rival. And from what I understand and what DeSantis said was that, he promised earlier on in the first debate that he would eventually support whichever Republican candidate comes out on top. So he's just keeping his word for that. I don't know if he actually supports Trump or not, but at least he's saving his integrity in that sense, right? "It's clear to me the majority of Republican primary voters wanted to give Donald Trump another chance," DeSantis said. "They watch his presidency get stymied by relentless resistance, and they see Democrats using lawfare this day to attack him," which is true. He added, "Trump is superior to the current incumbent Joe Biden. That is clear. I signed a pledge to support the Republican nominee, and I will honor that pledge." Oh, see, there we go. The pledge in question is what the RNC required all candidates to sign, vowing to support the eventual nominee if they wanted to participate in their 4 primary debates last year. Trump never signed the pledge and refused to show up for the debates. Because everybody knew that those debates were just kind of going through the motions, essentially practice for maybe future down the road campaigns or whatever. But still, they were taking in millions of dollars in campaign funds and spending those millions of dollars in campaign funds, which it was all just a complete waste. But what else have we come to expect out of our political leaders, right? And with that, you guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Hit that like button if you did. Subscribe to the channel. All that good stuff. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.